back to Bishop Amat, I knew we had a really talented team as I was the head coach now. I knew we had a chance, but I didn't want to dwell on winning. That was the one thing that I really learned from Cat and Pop. Went out to dinner one time when Pop came back to visit that first year, and he was saying that, you know, basketball, you can't really talk about basketball like you're playing a game, right? You're not trying to win the game. It might be 100 games within that game, 50 on offense and 50 on defense. And the more of those that you win, right, the better you're going to like the results at the end, right? You string a few of those, you know, together and put on a little mini winning streak in your possessions, and you're going to put on a little run. So that's really how we kind of approached it. I think on the back of our T-shirts that year, it said solid possession by possession. And I really bought into that. It really made sense, and Cat really drove that home, the whole possession by possession mentality. And so when I came back to Bishop Amat, you know, they had championship aspirations, and I got all the coaches together, and I said, this year we are not going to use the word win one time. And they looked at me like it was crazy. Of course we want to win. But we wanted to do that by playing one possession at a time, you know, by the time we got there. And so our vision was a championship, but we were going to get there with a different process. So beginning of every season, you got to put on new nets on your rims. And so first practice, we pulled out the ladder, and we had the players cut down the old nets. And they kind of got into it, and it kind of gave them a vision of what that was going to be like. But I never said, this is where we want to be. We just put it out there for them. And then we practiced every morning, and we could have the 8:30 in the morning time slot on a Saturday, or the 10:30 time slot on a Saturday. And they all wanted to practice early so they could get on with their Saturday. And I says, no, we're going to practice at 10:30 because that's the time our section's championship game tips off at the Anaheim Pond.
Sure.
And then I never said anything about it again, right? And so planted those seeds early and then went about the process, right? And so started to develop our mission, so to speak. And you talked about mentors. When I was in one of those basketball theory classes, I think this one is Dave Bullwinkle's class, he had us do a paper, and the conclusion to that paper, I remember, was if you convince the players that you care about them, prove that you're knowledgeable, and work as hard as you expect them to, then they'll listen and try to understand, try to be a great teammate, and hustle, right? And I was 18, 19, that's what I wrote. And so then, Coach Pete, you talked about all of the stuff that we start to learn and the things that we teach that aren't really important, right? We get that 3-ring binder worth of, you know, handouts and plays, and I remember, you know, dropping that down, you know, on the desk at Bishop Amat, and told my assistants, this is what we're going to do, you know, like this was our philosophy. And so we're going through, we're having a pretty good preseason, but we're in the middle of a December practice that was just awful. And Kevin, I went on a rant. And, I just said, you know, you guys, you're playing like you don't even care. You know, would you just think you're not even trying, you know, and it went on and on and on. And thankfully finished practice. And when we did, I went back up into the office and I thought, doggone it, that's what I wrote 20 years ago. Right? 20 years earlier, I wrote that it's important that you care, think, and try. And I forgot about all that stuff and got caught up in all the, you know, drills and presses and tactics and scouting, you know, films. And I forgot about care, think, and try. Right? So, you know, we just, you know, bought into that, you know, head and shoulders after that, and just talked about those, you know, 3 things and enjoying it while we were doing it. And, you know, that being able to simplify the things that are important, I think those qualities, as I thought about it, every quality or, you know, everything that you want your kids to develop fits into one of those categories. everything that they do, they got to care about what they're doing and how it affects other people, and they got to think about their job, and they got to try their best and all, and so we really tried to narrow it down, and being able to simplify it, Coach Pete, that was what enabled us to get a little bit better.